Hey guys, so this is a demo of how to use the RabbitMQ connection. Send basically how to send messages and receive messages from RabbitMQ, and how to work with the tables that are already created in the database. So starting with RabbitMQ, I have abstracted away the RabbitMQ code into its own separate repository, so that we don't have duplicate code in different services, because that would cause a lot of very nasty, hard to detect bugs when code is inconsistent. Okay, so how do you work? How do you have to start with? How do you okay, RabbitMQ. Currently, the way things are, you can only send direct messages from one service to another service. Each service has its queue defined. We'll soon need the use case that a service can send a general event that happened, and any other service that is interested can listen on that event. Currently, that's not supported. Currently, what we support is from one service directly to another service. But I'm working on fixing that because we'll need it soon. Right. So each service has its individual queue, and in the config folder here, each service I've put this config folder that configures stuff like database logs, RabbitMQ stuff. I've made it so that uh, you don't have to type the string of what's the actual name of the queue, because that's very bug prone and very error prone. If you make a slight typo, it may take you so long to figure out what went wrong. So right now, how it is, if you want to get the name of the queue for a service, you just do from config, so from this config folder, import service queues. And then if you want to get the name of a service queue, if I want to get the name of the scheduler queue, I do this scheduler. And your IDE will give you autocomplete. I don't know why mine's not working right now, but it was a second ago. It will give you autocomplete and suggests the auto suggestions to show you the names of the services. So it's not error. It won't be a cause for bugs. Uh, yeah. So now you're able to get this one. Now is listening to the image management queue. Now you're able to get the name of the queue that you want to collect messages from. How do you actually consume messages from that queue? So first thing we need is a RabbitMQ connection. In this same config folder, I have the RabbitMQ connection. So it's basically just from config import rabbit. We still need the service queues, so we'll leave that there for now. So we just need the rabbit connection. Something else we need is the actual consumer that uses that rabbit connection to consume messages from that queue. So uh, I can import the consumer from the rabbit wrapper. Okay, so now we have imported everything we need. How do we actually collect messages that are coming into that queue? What we need to do is create a new consumer. One of the parameters is the RabbitMQ connection. So it's actually a function. Even though it's a function, no matter how many times you call this function, it will give you the same connection. Right? And then we need to tell it what queue do we want to consume messages from. Say now I want to consume messages from the image management queue. This is all I need to do. Now, I've created the consumer. I actually want to start consuming the messages. This is what I have to do. So now I'm consuming the messages, but I need to tell it if I see a message come in, I collect a message from that queue. What do I do with it? So the way it's set up now is you can define a function, any function, anywhere. and that function will accept the body, basically the message. You can call it whatever you want, which is the JSON that it receives from the queue, and it can do whatever it wants with that message. All you have to do in this end, when you want to tell the consumer to start consuming the messages, you have to set the callback to that function. So it doesn't matter where the function is. It can be in another file and you import it. It can be defined here. You just have to pass the name of the function as the callback, and the function has to be able to accept the message as the first and only parameter. So that's how you consume queues, consume messages from queues. Publishing messages to queues is even simpler. It's very much the same. Now we need the publisher. Well, how you publish messages to queue is you just create the publisher the same way. Give it the Rabbit connection. Tell it what service to actually push the message to. So anything that's listening to this service that I'm sending this message to is gonna receive it. So this will receive it and it will call back, like handled. So now I created the publisher that basically sends messages to this queue. If I actually want to send a message, what I do is publisher dot publish. I think it's just publisher dot publish. Let me make sure. Publish message. So what we do is publisher dot publish message, and we can pass in whatever message we want here. It doesn't have to be a string. It can be a dictionary. It can be an object, like an object. I don't know what objects. I don't know. Whatever. It can be an object. All the background stuff for converting that into JSON is handled in the background. You can just publish the message and that's it. So that's pretty much all for publishing messages and consuming messages. One detail is that these are blocking connections to RabbitMQ. So the publishing message, it's only one, it just publishes the message and it doesn't care what happens after. So it's fine that it's blocking. But consume messages, once it starts consuming messages, it has to stay there and keep listening to see if any new message has come. So if I write any code after this code is not going to run because it's stuck here. It's a blocking connection. In the future, we may need use cases for, say, we want to handle, even if it's the same consumer, maybe wants it to do two different things whenever a message is received there. Actually, that's not a good use case. Say we want to listen to a different queue. Then, like, we really can't, because anything we write, once we start listening to this queue, we can't do anything else. So we can't. We need an asynchronous connection. And I've written most of the code for that. I still need to make some changes because it doesn't work yet. But once the changes are done, all you need to do is just set blocking equals false. So now the Rabbit connection is no longer a blocking connection. It's not working as of yet completely, but that's what you'll need to do. All right. So now onto the database. How do you actually get database objects? Where is it? So this is basically all the code you need to. All right. So say I have a table in the database called satellites. So if I want to connect to basically use that database table in my code, what I do is, first of all, I import the database engine from that same config that we keep referencing. imports DB engine. Then I basically do this imports here. Yeah. You can just follow this. So say I want to get the satellite table. This is all I need to do to get the satellite table. Now, this is just as if I define the class satellite. This is a class. It's not an object. It's actually a class. So if I want to create a satellite object, so if you see in SQL Alchemy, where they do like something like class, and then they do base model, something like that. This is that class that inherits from base model. So you can interact with this class just as you would any other uh, SQL Alchemy uh, database table class. And that's pretty much it. You can watch the YouTube tutorials of how to use SQL Alchemy to like manipulate. So say yeah, I won't go into that now because the video is getting too long. That's pretty much it.